Hi, everybody. This is Clint. It's good to meet the class and the professor. This is going to be this week's discussion board. So, this is for week one's discussion in our class starting out. To start off with, as far as my thoughts on the personal philosophy of social networks and public influence, I think now more than ever, because of the fact that everyone in the world is getting to the point where we're so interconnected, I think that you need to maintain a Christian framework more than ever because it's kind of like Clay Shirky was saying in his lecture on how the internet can someday or will someday change the government. It's given us an increased forum for arguing. In other words, there are people that sit at the keyboard and it's made it easier for them for all of us really, to announce our opinions because there's no fear of face-to-face recrimination. And sometimes that gets pretty nasty. So I think having a Christian framework and applying that to any time that you are active in a social network, whether it's online with school or Facebook or even texting, I think that's imperative and critical. I really do. To try to go ahead and treat others as we would be treated. I think that's paramount. As far as considering source information, what constitutes credible knowledge? I would say what constitutes credible knowledge is checking to see if it's accurate, if it's relevant. The crop method that we ended up looking over in this week's video assignment. Just checking to make sure that it's, like I said, that it's relevant, that it's authentic, that it's accurate, that it's been published by somebody that has an authority to talk about that situation or that scenario or that material, such as a university or a journal. Those are the things that you need to look for. Someone that has knowledge on that subject, that you know would be knowledgeable about that subject. That's more than anything what I look for. It's critical just to make sure that whatever I'm reading on whatever subject I'm looking up, that it's been written about by someone that has knowledge of that subject and that they're accredited. As far as the pros and cons of social media and the costs and benefits of giving up our personal information, does privacy really matter? Yes, it does. However, the digital age and social networking services, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's two sides of the same coin because once we put ourselves out there on these social networking sites, you have to put, well, you don't have to, but on Facebook, you're going to put information out there so that you can get to know people. You have to compromise yourself to a degree to be able to interact with those groups and with those people. So yes, privacy does matter, but I think this is a whole different thing than what we've ever been through before. I think what we have to accept is that it does matter, but we also are going to compromise it to a certain degree because of the nature of social networking services themselves. I don't know that that can entirely be helped. Is the knowledge obtained from universities always credible? And is the knowledge obtained from the workplace always credible? The short answer is no, it's not. There are people that make mistakes. We're all human. And even without meaning to, mistakes can be made from people that work in universities or people that work in the workplace. I've made them. They can be mistakes in research, mistakes in translation, anything. So most of the time, I think we look for it to be credible, but there can be mistakes that can be made, human error. I mean, there's always the human factor. Is knowledge distributed through think tanks, government, and research institutions always credible? I think for the most part it is, but again, not 100% no, because we're human. I mean, it is the human factor, and we have to accept that. Again, that's when you look for authenticity or ways to reinforce what that knowledge is that you're looking at. Ways to make sure that yes, it is credible. Yes, this person is on target. Is it morally ethical to use social technologies to influence others? Again, this is kind of a double-edged sword. I think it is if you're using that power for good, so to speak. If you're using social technology to give hope and to help prop someone up that needs it, that's having a difficult time, whether it be in their personal lives, in work, in school, anything of that nature. Yes, absolutely. I think it's ethical. On the other hand, if you're using it to bully, to degrade, to control, to manipulate, no, it's not ethical. And that leads to a whole nother discussion, because we're subject to manipulation every day with advertisements, online commercials, television commercials, etc. So that's a whole different discussion. But I think if used in the right way, absolutely, yes, social technologies used to influence others can be considered ethical. Given these pros and cons and ethical considerations, what is the best approach for gaining credibility and influence as a 2.0 leader? For myself, I would think the best approach is just to be genuine. I try not to post on any topics that I ever maintain to know everything about. One interesting statement that someone made in a lecture that I listened to online recently is he said that someone approached him and told him that the more he learned, the less he would understand. I think that that is a mantra that we should all adhere to. I think it's true because, like this person said, the day that you think you know everything, you don't. So, above all, I think that the main approach that will give a person credibility is just to be forthright and genuine, and just to simply state, this is what I purport to know on a subject, this is where I got my knowledge, and state those sources accurately and make sure that they're relevant, and invite opinions from anyone else. Because the bottom line is, at the end of the day, none of us knows as much as we think we know, and none of us knows everything. So, again, it goes back to that framework from a Christian worldview, wherein we're taught to treat others as we want to be treated. And I want to be treated in an honest manner, so I endeavor to try to treat others in the same manner. So, thank you for listening. I know it ran a little long. I look forward to looking at the other video journals in the class. Bye now.